All right, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, and you're reaching us from Enterprise Television. Now let's get to our main conversation for today. The Northern State Governors Forum, led by Gombe State Governor Muhammad Yahaya, have raised concerns over the severe economic hardship and insecurity affecting northern Nigeria.
Yahaya highlighted the region's struggles with issues such as terrorism, banditry, youth restiveness, poverty, and high unemployment rates, which have been worsened by recent power outage.
He emphasized that the youth are increasingly restive due to these economic pressure and called on governors to collaborate with the federal government to develop economic policies attuned to the region's needs.
The governor stressed the importance of addressing the root cause of youth discontent, such as literacy and lack of opportunities, by investing in education, skills training, and job creation.
He also urged the leaders to implement targeted welfare programs, support for small businesses, and policies to attract investment. Additionally, Yahaya advocated improvement in power infrastructure and environmental conservation, emphasizing northern Nigeria's agricultural potential as a pathway to economic growth.
He encouraged his peers to focus on industrialization by reviving industries like textile and agro-allied factories to stimulate economic progress and reduce poverty in the region.
All right, that is our reportage for this morning. Let's have our conversation, and joining us virtually from London, we have Bola Oba. Good morning to you. He is a public affairs analyst. Welcome to Nigeria.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you.
Thank you.
And your colleague.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate the time. And also from Abuja, we have High Chief Peter Ame. Good morning to you, High Chief.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time. All right, so let's have our conversation. I'd love to start with you, Bola Oba. And there we have it. And my question actually is quite direct. Why does it often look like when it comes to the northern part of Nigeria, the federal government has a quick way of resolving it as against other regions in the country?
I wouldn't know what you mean by a quick way of resolving. I just want to believe that historically, and particularly with the incumbent administration, some degree of incompetence, maladministration, ironically and paradoxically more pronounced under administrations led by northerners. The northern part of Nigeria did very badly under Buhari. They're not doing any well now, so I just wonder. I wonder what you mean by quickly resolving, because as it is, the failure of leadership is not only affecting the whole of Nigeria, but in fact is more laceratingly, more exacerbatingly affecting the northern part of Nigeria, because across the strata of leadership in that part of Nigeria, they have forgotten to invest in the greatest asset of any society, and that is the human capital. And the north is where the north is now, so despicably sunken into poverty. Not that the southern part of Nigeria is any better. We are only facing, ironically and unfortunately, I tell my friends that every negative phenomenon that we see in northern Nigeria is gradually manifesting in southern Nigeria, because in the south too, leadership across the value chain, and I'm not talking about political leadership alone, traditional leadership. Indeed, leadership, I tell my friends, leadership in the private sector, value creativity-wise, entrepreneurial innovation-wise, leadership is failing too in the South, particularly because The zeitgeist of entrepreneurship in Nigeria today is what is in it for me. Not, we don't think legacy, we don't think succession, next generation, and we don't think human capital development. And because we do that, we are also inevitably going in the direction of the North. We must all remember that Nigeria has, as we speak, Nigeria has the infamy of being the capital of the highest number of school-age children, about 20 million cumulatively out of school. Those, if you see a mini commercial bus approaching any bus stop in Lagos, you will see youngsters from about the ages of 14 and 21 to 25 running after either the danfo or the minibus with a view to getting pieces of luggage to tote for the owner. Those are standing army, like they're already doing in the northern part of Nigeria, especially in the northeast and the northwest. That is a standing army that will ravage Lagos ultimately in the next 5 to 10 years. If they are not already attacking us when we are now in traffic, we must remember that my wife as recently as 2 or 3 weeks ago, she was in a traffic congestion in a vehicle, air conditioned, and some boys by Oworoshoki came to her, knocked the door, pulled out something that looked like a gun, and robbed her and the people in the vehicle with her. So because we have failed in the greatest duty of any generation, nurturing the successive generation to be better placed, not only to replace you, but to do better than you. The North has manifestly gotten to the stage, to the nadir now, and they are digging deeper. The South, we are also going in that direction. Let me yield for my colleague.
Thank you, Bola. Thank you so much. Hi, Chief Peter Ame. Before now or in recent years, the Northerners have been experiencing one challenge or the other. And I want to quote the governor of Gombe State, that's Yahaya. He urging the governors in the region to collaborate with the federal government to ensure that fiscal policies are sensitive to the current realities. Now, at this point, must Yahaya rise up to speak or to even urge the governors before they know what's happening? Because they actually came into power or actually asked the people to vote for them. Now, is it that they didn't see this problems before they came into power, or are they waiting for Yahaya to actually tell them this is what they need to do before they rise up to do it?
First of all, I must commend my brother who spoke from London. He has dissected the issues, from a very holistic point of view. But the fact remains that if we localize this issue, you find out that what is driving poverty in Nigeria is incompetence, and the fact that people tend to want to capture power without the ability to deliver on the goods to our people. And you look at what we're saying, when you have something they call federation, when you have a federation, that means there are more than one layer of governance in that structure. You have local government, you have federal government, you have state government. We are not running a regional government. They should stop trying to form clusters in order to be able to, surprise the center, make the center confused. The center is already confused. The center have not shown any capacity to lead us well. So the more you try to form this union kind of arrangement that the North side, the North has led this country more than any other region in the history of our country. And the North should do better. Every state must go back to their states, whether in Gombe, whether it's Bauchi, whether it's Kano, whether it's Sokoto, whether it's Kogi, where I come from, must go back to their state and start to look at those resources. What they would do. The North is blessed with terrible land and blessed with human capital. And with little resources, we could be able to direct and change the focus of the North from being center dependent to state-oriented developmental objectives. And what we have today is the fact that we have so much debased leadership in this country that we have an electoral process that does not question performance, that does not rate what people have done while in office. Because if we have an electoral process that is just, that is fair, that is credible, let me tell you, some of the mess you see in this country, you won't see it. You will see people without resources who have competence, who have merit, who have ability to deliver, get into office and make things work for our people. What I'm saying, I'm not even talking about, no, I grew up in Lagos. My brother just talked about Lagos, and I know how beautiful it was for me and the emotion I see attached to Lagos to hear that a city of excellence where, you know, we're supposed to be taking our people to Silicon Valley, you know, talking about the population of Lagos that is over 22 million plus, and you are talking about the kind of poverty that has also taken root in such areas, then you should be afraid for the future of Nigeria. And when we microzone into the discussion where we're talking about the North must wake up and start to deliver itself from the danger that I foresee might become uncontrollable if we do not harness the potentials of the energy of the northern youth, if we do not invest properly, so that the youth will be able to have where to be able to function properly and benefit the people. We talk about today about the collapse of the central power system, you know, that have collapsed more than 100 something times in the last few years. We must be able to know that when we had sway as northerners, we would have been able to structurally divide the means to make the north stable and have energy sufficiency in a way that we can also generate power from renewable energy that would sustain places like Katsina, places like Sokoto, and places like extreme northern part of the country in the northwest and northeast. So what we have failed to do this is the reason why we are now looking at everything, everybody, and transferring it to the federal government. The federal government have not shown that they can lead. They have not shown they have the capacity the ingenuity to create an enabling environment where businesses and small scale and large businesses can survive. So I don't think the people clustering themselves into a unit and then try to act as a pressure group to tell the president how he should do things can help issues. We should see examples from their own leadership. We should see them do things in their own local communities and develop a succession plan that works. One of the greatest problems of this country, he captured it in his statement, is the fact that we have no developmental plan. We have no short, medium, and long-term plan. People come into office and they want to dig borehole immediately so that they will be the one to commission it. That's why you do not see pipe and water again across this country, including the FCT, where we so cherish and we talk our federal capital territory. No, in every country that have worked. If you talk about Singapore, you talk about Indonesia that they are struggling, you talk about India today, people are looking for the kind of investment that will be long-serving, that will be able to generate resources, that will be able to help people out of poverty. We are no longer talking about that. People are looking at immediate benefit, building university for the president and naming it after the president. Today, I agree with a friend. When they say they want to build, that somebody proposed a bill to build the University of Agriculture and Entrepreneurship. And I laughed. We have already had the University of Agriculture in Makurdi. We have FUNAB, Federal University of Agriculture, somewhere in the southwest. Wow. We have more than 5 federal universities that talk about agriculture. But the fact that they have not been able to do what they have been established for is the problem. We cannot continue to duplicate policies that have not managed our system well. Our failure is that we have drivers who are driving us into the gallows. We have drivers who do not know how to drive this system well. We have drivers who have failed in all aspects of economic development. We must sit as a people and decide how we want to live our lives and talk that the North must see that they will use their potential or what we call area of comparative advantage and use the land available to them to deliver the North from the current poverty rating that exists within the North.
Thank you so much,
so very much.
Bola, I want to ask, the states have been given the privilege and the freedom to actually set up their own electricity for their state, for their different states. Why is it that at this point, no sitting governor have been able to stand up and say, okay, they are actually drafting out something to do that, or actually set up a plan to actually supply power to their different states individually without depending on the national grid?
The political culture, the quality of political leadership, and indeed, I like the fact that we're having this conversation on a TV network that is nomenclatured, that is called Enterprise TV. I have lived in about 5 societies in my life. I've born in Mushin, raised in Mushin, so I know ghettohood, I know poverty. It was the investment of a single parent, a woman in me, and consistency in reiterating that education was going to be my golden pass to the world, that ultimately yanked me out of that endemic poverty. So we can see the importance of human capital. I'm talking to you now from London, England, because quality was primarily imputed into me, and I can within the ecosystem that works, I can be seen as a value adder, and that is what leadership is willing to do across the value chain in Nigeria. However, specifically now to your question, when you have a political culture, like my colleague earlier stated, when you have a political culture that emphasizes short-termism, that emphasizes or accentuates exhibitionism far and above sustainability, especially when sustainability is going to be grounded on a program or a plan that will span one administration. One of the greatest problems of liberal democracy as we speak across the world now is the short-termism that is inbuilt into it. People wanting to take the glory of an idea or a policy within the context of their own tenure. And we know that it takes an average of 16 to 20 years quality education. Quality education, not only in theoretical education, but in vocational and other spheres of competencies to develop a wholesome member of society. And because they have not given emphasis to that, why would any one of them be thinking, and you know what, they can easily make money doing some 2-3 kilometers of roads, because you know what, they will overinflate the value of the road. 10 kilometers, an average of 1 kilometer road anywhere else in the world. Just opposed to Nigeria, Nigeria's is the lousiest. The Nigerian political class, practically extorts the Nigerian nation through projects like roads, bridges. So they build bridges, they build roads, but they can't look into things like, especially when you invest in power, inevitably you would want the people to pay back to sustain a power investment, because when power is generated, transmitted, and distributed, the ultimate beneficiary, the ultimate user of that power must know to pay. And because we have developed a capitalism that emphasizes rent-seeking, anything that you can do when you are in government to just appropriate money, but don't bother the people about paying taxes. And we have seen across the world that tax-paying democracies, tax-paying societies develop more sustainably than societies that are dependent on rent-seeking. But the Nigerian political class, they need the money now, so they will emphasize projects like tar a couple of kilometers of roads, do bridges where bridges are not needed, do, like my colleague stated, do borehole, that is seemingly, but you know what? At the end of the day, even, and the sadder part of it for me, because I'm speaking on a network that is christened Enterprise TV, the sadder part of it for me is that even those of us in the private sector, we have now reduced entrepreneurialism to cronyism. I know somebody in government, and because my friend is a governor, because my friend is a minister, because that is only when I prosper. We seldom prosper because we have created value that we leverage what is called networking phenomenon. You know, you can imagine the person who invented the technology that is allowing this virtual live communication from London with your studio, through which my image and my intellectual persona is being shared with the rest, with millions of Nigerians. That person did not know any minister in Nigeria, neither I would suppose the person know any minister in his country, but the person value created. The sadder part of it for me is that the Nigerian private sector, we are in fact far more worse now than our political class. Short-termism was in it for me, lack of value creativity, lack of value innovation, and you know what? Live large because of who we know in government.
All right. Very, very sad. Truly,
very sad. Let me use for my colleague.
All right, truly very sad. High Chief Peter Ame, I'd love to ask this, and it's very, very important. One of the issues the northern governors raised was the case of electricity. Now, the question is, why do you still think they need the federal government's intervention in these areas when, by law, they have the right to bring that to pass in their own community?
The issue of regional integration and state, collaboration has been killed because of the feeding bottle federalism that we practice. Even when you make laws to try to make sure that people dare to get their ways, to improve the life of their communities, because this act, Electricity Tariff Act, was passed in order to allow states to develop their own architecture for electricity generation and distribution. So it is still painful that they are still looking up to the federal government to try to resolve the issue of electricity. I think by now, they should have created passed a bill in their state house of assembly, create a commission in the state, domicile in the state, and then call and give a time to which they will be able to now start to, build power plants and build generation plants that will be able to transmit this power to various communities within their state. But I don't think they have a vision for that, and I don't see them planning, in that direction. So this feeding bottle federalism is a major problem. We must look for a way to make sure that our states are productive, that our state concentrate in the state. It is only in Nigeria that you find out that state governors are residing in the federal capital territory. You don't see that in the UK. You don't see that in America, where all the 50 states will come to stay in Washington. It is only in Nigeria that every weekend you see them going out, you see them in their liaison office. It's only in Nigeria that governors see FCT as the center for the administrative, administering their state. They are not in their state. Go and check, most of the governors are here. So what are they going to do if they are not in the state? So these are the challenges we have with governance in Nigeria. The challenges, let me tell you, can be cured just with a proper electoral system. Most of the people you see are in office because they know somebody who can rig election. They know somebody who can talk to the IGP of police that will make sure that police, work in the interest of their political interest on the day of election. These are the challenges we are having in our system. But people are looking at a way to try to talk sense into people who rig themselves into office, to try to educate people who rig themselves into office. It will be difficult because a man who has learned how to steal will continue to steal with the left hand, even if you have to amputate the right one. So we need to make sure that we have a process that is established by which it is about recruitment process of those who will govern our people. Recruitment process that will allow the best of us to govern the rest of us. That will allow the fact that people can go to look. The essence why multi-party democracy was fashioned out in any country was so that people can have choice. People can believe in whatever party they believe in, and they have the ability to propel and send out the gospel of the what they can do for the people through campaign and then get elected. But now there's a state capture. But if you are not in the power that controls the state independent electoral commission, which is called CX, which you find out that in Kano, everybody will win all the seats. In Sokoto, the party there will win all the seats. In Kogi, APC won 239 wards. No party can win anything. So if you now come to the federal government, you find out that majority of the appointing authority that comes from the president benefit more, and the party at the center benefit more from electoral victories. These are the challenges you have until we have a free, fair, and credible process for leadership recruitment that will make sure that Nigerians by themselves determine who govern them. That will make sure that those who talk, they are not determined by special interest or those who have special authority that has been bestowed on them by the Nigerian state. So we must sit as a people and continue to speak like my brother has spoken, like I'm speaking, to speak the truth to power. And that state must be productive. And state must look inward and stop this administrative oppressive system of using a way, anytime a president comes, people bring another new decision. We have seen that part of the request was an Almajiri request. Jonathan built Almajiri schools all over the north. It has never used. Today, Buhari was president for 8 years. What did he do to help the north? What did Buhari do to make sure that the north was self-sufficient in agriculture? So, see, the truth to power must not be selective. The truth to power must be holistic, must be put on cost, so that our people, whether you come from the south, you come from the north, you come from the west, you come from any part of this country, you will feel safe in any part of this country, knowing that as a Nigerian, you are welcome and seen as a Nigerian. I do not believe we should continue this divisive mechanism of trying to talk about these people are worried. We must look at the state structure. Why has it failed? Why are they just concentrating on building of roads that cannot even last for 5 years? Roads that are that have less quality. But because of the corruption embedded in construction, simple work, there's no succession plan. There's no plan on how to make sure that we have continuum in government. That when we have a big project, like, establishment of an electricity generating plant, that will have a time of 10 years for completion. None of the governors want to start that project. They want a project that they can start in 6 months and commission. They want a project that they can initiate today and commission before leaving office. So they have this ideological principle of that government is a continuum in its real sense of practice. They have no belief that somebody should do a project and the next government to come and continue. So this is the reason why our people are not having the quality kind of leadership and the quality of service delivery that is required within a democratic leadership.
Thank you, High Chief. Thank you so much. Now back to you, sir. Please, this will be my last question, and you can add it to your parting shot. Now, the federal government says to repair electricity in the north within 3 and 5 days. How about the other suffering regions? Do you see the regional development commissions as a solution in any way?
Mr. Oba.
Mr. Oba.
I really want to be very careful to approach answering the question the way you are posted. You are posted in such a way that it may seem somewhat partisan, as though one addresses it the way you are posted, as though one is speaking as though the South is any better than the North. The irony of the Nigerian case is that the facade that the South presents gives the impression that in human development, using human development index, using level of unemployment, using level of contribution to GDP, using security as a factor, using a life expectancy as a factor, using multidimensional poverty. Ostensibly, it will seem as though the North is the cauldron of underdevelopment, not only in Nigeria but all over the world. But the irony is that the same factors that are taking the North to where the North is are also prevalent in the South. It is just the sheer entrepreneurialism, the individualistic drive of an average Southerner, given generational importance that families have imbibed of Western education. We have now in the South some generations that are in their 10th. Somebody like Fani Kayode, his fourth generation they've been Oxbridgers. They've been going to Oxford and Cambridge. Somebody like Femi Fani Kayode is like the fifth generation that's gone to the Fellas, the Anikulapos, the Ransom Kutis. So somebody like me, my mother was a stark illiterate, but she knew the importance of education and emphasized it. Now, to go specifically to the question you have asked on the president or the president encouraging the minister of power to give attention to the North, and that in view of that admonition or of that charge, what about other parts of Nigeria? Oh yeah, your question seems ostensibly logical, but let me be very honest with you. What is the difference between 6 and half a dozen? Be it the president who is a politician who is looking at his re-election, trying to give the impression to the North, where there is the quote unquote, where there is the highest, electoral votes he will need in 2027. Apart from that is Phoenix. What's the difference between the quality of power generation in the North and in the South? Because we are going about it in a totally wrong way. Ironically and sadly for me, this was a president who, when he was governor in Lagos, knew that power generation, power transmission and distribution ought to have been domesticated in the state, and he was making practical efforts in that direction. Now that he is the president, instead of telling the governors straight to their faces that if at this juncture you are believing that a central power generation system will give consistent power supply, not only to the North, but to any region of Nigeria or indeed any state, it is delusional. It is delusional. It's about time power generation, transmission, and distribution are domesticated at the levels of the states. States should incentivize entrepreneurs to do it. And the state governors should let their citizens know that no good thing comes cheap and cannot be free. We promised free education. We've forgotten that Awolowo was the first indigenous political leader that his people rioted against. Because when they wanted to launch free education in Southwest Nigeria then, in 1953, Awolowo decided to do what had not been done before and what had caused a riot before in Nigeria. Awolowo decided to tax rural women. You must remember that the last attempt by the colonial government to tax rural women led to the Aba Women's Riot. Awolowo taxed rural women. They came to Ibadan, protested half naked, and we are shouting against Awolowo. Awolowo came out from government in Agodi and addressed them because of the future of your children. Southwest Nigeria is getting that advantage now. People forgot that what was free at the point of use for those children who benefited was actually financed by taxes paid by their parents, especially unprecedentedly in Nigeria by amongst other taxpayers, rural women. We give the impression to people in Nigeria that they get things for free. Free education, free healthcare, free this thing. We let people live in delusion. I don't know. The greatest topic today in England, in expectation of the speech of the Chancellor of the Exchequer tomorrow, is that taxes may be notched up.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here now thinking, my sister, your question, given contemporary happenings, is logical, reasonable, but a reasonable person, a reasonable public intellectual like me must not answer it the way it has been posed. It is a question that must be answered in a manner that all parts of Nigeria, especially those of us in the private sector, we then come to the realization that the political class in Nigeria live in delusion. Members of the political class in Nigeria live in delusion. And if we want to yank our society away from the inevitable drift we are seeing now in the direction of the doldrums, about time we did things differently.
Thank you.
Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you so very much. Hi, Chief Peter Ame. I'd love to maybe end with this. And there's no doubt, most obviously, that Nigerians are not scared of paying bills. Nigerians are never scared of paying bills. But the issue we have is when such bills are paid and they're not directed to areas that they are supposed to be directed to, unlike the UK, where, of course, taxes are upped, but they see the results of that. Speak to us on this particular issue. Every successive administration in Nigeria keeps taking us from one gallows to another gallows. And right now, obviously, we are in the concentration camp where Nigerians are suffocating. How do you think we can break that chain of taking us from one gallows to another? And currently the concentration camp we are in right now, where do we break that chain? And how?
For your first term, you really spoke my mind. Sincerely, I was going to talk about the fact that taxes in developed countries work for their people because their leaders are not corrupt. Their leaders don't steal this money meant for good of development of the community, and that's why it's easier for people to pay. The reason why today market women are not in my village. Market women contributed money to send the first military officer to go to attend university. For my community, market women will contribute money on okay day. So it is not that Nigerians are not willing to contribute to the development of this country. The fact that people who are corrupt are taking over the ownership of our government, they are mismanaging public resources, they are bringing deficit to public trust and public interest in governance. These are the challenges that we are facing. And while we are moving from one difficult, incompetent government to another, is the reason why we don't have the right to select our leaders freely. And if you look today in America, Donald Trump, a former president, is running up and down, granting 3 hours interview, granting 2 minutes walk, talking about things, talking about issues. The vice president contesting Hillary Harris, she's talking every day, trying to bring her point. In Nigeria, Tinubu never campaigned. He never appeared in any interview to say that these are my policies. This is what I'm going to do. All the debate that was set up for him, he ignored them. So how are you going to know what the person is going to do? So whatever we have today is as a result of the fact that our leadership recruitment process is faulty. We talk about vote from the north, we talk about vote from the south. I see the people voting are not human beings. I see they don't have the right to benefit from good governance. I see they are just meant there to just come and be used as figures to normalize criminal electoral processes. We must now start to talk about issues. We must stop this mudslinging, this pressure government system that had kept our people impoverished. We must speak when it is whether the person is from our region in the government. We must speak whether the person is not from our region. Because it is in this speaking genuinely to all persons that takes over governance in this country that will set up a paradigm shift to a better leadership model. Because we had Buhari, people almost died of hunger and pain. Today we have Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who had come with the subsidies gone, an impulsive and irrational policy decision that had no plan, that books have not been. I study economics. I grew up in Shomolu, Bariga, Yaba axis of Lagos. I know what my father as a soldier went through to try to make sure that education was. But I'm a first generation, second generation of my people living from my village to Lagos. You're talking about people going to London. I'm talking of from my village to Lagos. That's how bad it is, because I'm from where a lot of people are from a landlocked area that do not have the kind of opportunity those who saw the first territory saw. That do not have the kind of opportunity those who live in River State, who live in waterboarding boundaries saw. That do not have the kind of opportunity those who live very close to the coastal area witnessed. We were from a community that were no roads until 1980-something to pass through Onitsha, to pass through Lokoja. So we are talking about the opportunity that has been created and the opportunity that has failed, that people who are coming to leadership have failed to create. For us to be able to save this country, it has never been about tribe, because in the north alone, there are more than 100 tribes that you don't know. You don't know the Muzam, you don't know the Kazam, you don't know the Koros, you don't know these people. We don't ever have the opportunity to govern this country, but they will not have a problem if we have a developmental objective towards taking our people from poverty. The only thing that can bring unity in this country, the only thing that can bring progress in this country, the only thing that can unite us is economic freedom. When the people have economic freedom, nothing matters. You will no longer hear how our tongues and tribes are different. You will not hear about diversity. People will be comfortable to discuss what is called Nigeria. People will believe in the system. Because when people talk about tribes, I know over 100 tribes where you have never heard their names before. I can send them to you. They are in this country. They are here. They will never have the opportunity to form a caucus, to form a region, to say they want to be president. People will never vote for them. So how can you have a child, you give birth to a child today? You know that no matter how brilliant your child is, he can never contest for president because of our leadership recruitment model. That they said these are major tribes. These major tribes would have disappeared if we had had an economic revolution that brings economic freedom, that brings food, that delivers the best of governance system to our people, that creates a railway system that can transport somebody from Sokoto, from Yola to Lagos within hours, that can create a model that can make sure that we are connected from every locality to every zone. We have failed our people. Those who have successive government have allowed greed and personal interest, have allowed lack of vision to rob them of the legacies they would have bequeathed to the unborn generation.
Thank you,
They have allowed lack of, communalism, lack of understanding of what governance is. Today, I wonder about Igbobi College of Lagos. My father never had the money until Jakonde made sure that these schools are public schools. People, today we talk of Jakonde. You know how when Jakonde governed Lagos? But today we go to Jakonde Estate, talk of Jakonde model of building estate. See, the issue that we have a government now that don't believe in free and fair election, that don't talk about electoral reform, that don't believe that the people can decide for themselves, that don't believe that all they want is state capture. They want to be in charge of government. They want to be the one to govern the people, whether the people like it or not, whether the people are happy or not, whether the people are dying of hunger or not, whether they are roads to transport our goods and services or not. Because there are little things that the government can solve. There's what they call push inflation. There's what they call pass-through effect that is transmitting to the cost of food in this country. The police alone, a trailer driver was confessing that the police alone and the army, every checkpoint for police is 2,000. Every checkpoint for the army is 3,000. That for them to get food from trailer from north to Lagos, they can spend 700,000 on a trailer. Is that not something within the power of a federal government, of a president to resolve? If I was a president, let me tell you, it will never happen. There's no police that would dare, also that would dare collect that bribe. It will never. It is because those who are leading us are disconnected from the society. The president, when last did he travel from Enugu to Nsukka? When last did he travel on the road from Anambra to Abia, to Akwa Ibom? I know this road by my hand. They are bad. Opolo Road is bad. Enugu Nsukka Road is bad. The East-West Road is bad. When last have they ever crossed this road? These people have been in government for 20 years. They have lost connection with the people. They have lost connection with the society. From 1999 to today, a man who stays consistently in government can never relate with the people, the masses, how it should be. They are not on the street. So these are the challenges we have. We should not pretending. We must have people who can connect with the street, people who can connect with the system. You can develop a KPI. You can use it to do monitoring and evaluation. You can speak on the textbook industry, the textbook techniques that you can use. But let me tell you, the best, like I have always said on every national TV I appear, the best evaluation and monitoring report that you can ever get is the feedback from the street. Because as an economist, I have told people that you cannot tell me what economics model determine our market growth, apart from people coming, bring money and exchange for goods, which is buying and selling. You can't tell me that there's another economic model that determines what happens in our market. So our people knows how to do buying and selling even before the economic model was brought. But how do you deliver governance in this model that was accepted as democratic process? How do you deliver that process?
Thank you so much.
Until we know that they can be stopped in an election, that there can be a scorecard presented for an election, that they cannot force themselves on the people, that the electoral process is fair, credible, and free, leaders will never sit up.
Thank you so much, High Chief.
Take over that power, we'll continue to have these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, High Chief.
All right. I would have wished we continue on this. But of course, this is just about the time we have. I'd love to sincerely say thank you to you, Bola Oba. Thank you so very much. We truly do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Hi, Chief Peter Ame.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Yeah. All right. That's just about the time we have for our show today. We'd love to say thank you to you. Most importantly, you've watched, you've streamed, whatever you've done that around the world. We'd love to say thank you to you. But please do well to visit us for these and more. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Ikwebike.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
And thank you for watching once more. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.